Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Excited to be here with you guys on the last day of July 2020. Is it the last day or is it the 31st? Tomorrow's the 31st, but this is the last Thursday of July 2020. And as you guys all know, we're still living amongst a global pandemic. So I hope that you and your family are doing everything that you need to do to stay healthy and safe. Remember, the key to all of this is to wear your mask. It's important to wear that mask. Tonight, my mask has cocktails on it. You can grab yourself your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, and I have another great show for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. We have a wonderful guest co-host joining us tonight. She's a veteran, activist, also a wonderful advocate and best-selling author. And she is going to be here with us in just a few moments. We're going to talk about that. I guess my sound must be going in and out. It'll probably improve in just a little bit. It's probably you guys know how it is with this microphone every now and then, as well as the Wi-Fi, but we'll bring it up. Later on in the show, we'll meet Miss Karen V. Jenkins, a Chicago native, who is the creator and founder of Kids Analytics. And she's going to be here tonight to talk about how she's creating wonderful opportunities for young people in data analytics. And we'll find out what that is if you don't know, as well as where these opportunities are available for our young people to get hooked up with them. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to our very special guest co-host. She was here on the show with us a couple of weeks ago as a book author promoting her best-selling book. But tonight she's here to do the full show. Later on tonight, we're going to talk about relationship things because it is Relationship Thursday. And we're going to talk about, are you the person you're asking God for in a mate? Like all of that must match up. It all must make good sense. We'll figure it out. And we'll talk to our very special guest co-host. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a United States veteran, advocate, activist, and best-selling author. Please welcome back to the show, Monique M. Pickett. Yay! Where you at, babe? Here you are. Yay! How you
Yay.
doing? Good to
I
see you,
am
darling. You
wonderful,
look
Art.
amazing.
Thank you. I try to
Glad
get
to have
cute for
you
you.
here. You did, darling. You're very cute. You have $1 million smile, and I just love and adore you. Please tell the audience a little bit about yourself. You're a former Chicagoan. You're originally from the East Coast, but you lived here in Chicago, and now you're back on the East Coast. But
Yeah.
introduce yourself to the audience again and let them know about you.
Well, I am Monica M. Pickett. I am an author of fiction, lesbian romance of the number one international bestseller on Amazon for lesbian fiction, Pretty Boy Blue. I am originally a Jersey girl. I'm from the real Jersey Shore, and I moved to Northern Virginia right before high school. And then I was in Chicago for about 15 years. Now I'm back in the DMV, which we call DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We call that the DMV, Art. So I'm back in the DMV.
It's called the what, baby? The DMV.
The,
Really?
this you didn't know that, Art?
I know that, but see, here in Chicago, we call that the Department of Motor Vehicle.
Right,
So
exactly.
right, I do know that about the East Coast that is the DMV. But most people here in Illinois be like, "Girl, you back in the driver's license facility? What happened? Your driver's license is expired."
Right.
Well, glad to
Yeah.
have you here.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm
Well,
so
it's a
honored to
pleasure
be
to have you.
here.
All right, so want to start off with our COVID update numbers. As you guys always know, wherever my guest is from, we always allow them to give the COVID update information of their area. So we'll find out about the COVID update in the DMV. Right now, the state of Illinois has announced 1,772 new known cases of COVID-19. That number is up incredibly high, you guys. This is the 8th straight day with more than 1,000 new cases. The state also reported that we had 18 additional fatalities, which now brings the state total number of known infections to 176,896 cases. And we have
Wow.
now topped 7,478 fatalities. And so the governor is saying that we're getting at a very dangerous point. He was at a press conference in Peoria today. He did warn against the fact that Illinois could be headed into a reversal in its reopening as the state continues to see a resurgence of coronavirus case numbers. And look, I've been, monitoring things on social media as I always do. And Monica, look, it was people having parties, having a good
Oh
time.
my God.
Monica, I've learned how to even like smile with my mask on when I'm taking pictures. It's
Right.
all about the
Right.
eyes.
You can see your
Right,
smile lines.
right.
Right.
Girl, it's all about the eyes. It's all about all of that, right? Well, believe it or not, the numbers are going up. And I know it's
Mhm.
summertime and people want to enjoy themselves, but this is no joke. And we'll even talk about the fact that Herman Cain died today, and the man died from the coronavirus. So we'll talk
Yes.
about that. Give us the latest update on how everything is going where you are with coronavirus.
Well, unfortunately, we have a total of about 184,000 cases in the DMV, and Maryland is leading in the number of cases, which is the total cases, which is about 87,000, as well as the number of deaths, which is a little over 3,300. And then there is Virginia, which is right behind Maryland, with about 85,000 and approximately 584 deaths. And then there's DC with 12,000 total cases and 58 new cases and about 584 deaths. And, unfortunately, the thing about it, Art, is that we call it the DMV because, the states of Maryland and Virginia and DC are so closely connected. We're connected by bridges. And so, people who work in DC may travel, who live in DC may travel to work in Virginia and Maryland and vice versa. And so, you have to be concerned about, some people may be asymptomatic and not even know it and make others, sick. So those numbers are staggering for this area. And there are no mandated mask rules.
So, have people been wearing masks? Have you seen people do the right precautions? You and I both know this is not a race thing. I've seen as many Black people out without a mask on as I have other races of people. So, what is the behavior pattern of most of the people in the DMV?
Well, it's hard to tell because, I don't go out too often because unfortunately I'm one of those individuals who have underlying health conditions. So I'm just like, I'm very precautious, but when I've gone to the grocery store, I will take my mother, drive her to the grocery store, and she will go into the store with masks and gloves. And for the most part, when I see people going in and out of the grocery stores, they have masks on, maybe not gloves all the time, but definitely masks, because a lot of businesses are now mandating that you cannot enter without the mask. But then, you turn on the news or you read, read online reports, and you see people who are having huge gatherings, or unfortunately, what the hell is a COVID party? I just don't understand that, where people are going to parties to show that COVID-19 is a hoax. So I see a little bit of both.
Well, this past weekend in Southampton on Long Island, which one of my favorite places, the Hampton, Southampton, there was a concert, and it was, the chain smokers were the
Mm,
lead act. And, it was one of those things. A lot of people are having these drive-in concerts where so many
mhm.
cars can come and, people can stay in their cars and watch the concert. We've had
Right.
it here in Chicago. And the thing is that you saw no social distancing. You saw very few people with masks on. These people were having a grand old time. Come to find out, even the president of Goldman Sachs, one of the biggest, honey, he
Wow.
was DJ. He was the DJ. He was like,
What?
oh, honey, he was the DJ. And so, it just goes to show you those are wealthy, high-end people that are having no regard for the fact that we are in the middle of this, and we are being warned to wear masks. So it just kind of blows me that no matter, the economic background, people give zero, what
Right.
about this whole situation.
But I just don't understand that, Art. With, over 150,000 Americans, having lost their lives to this this virus. I don't really understand what else do people need to see, and I mean, unfortunately, unless it hits home directly, I don't think they're taking it as serious as they need to.
Well, honey, speaking of hitting home, today we got the news that Republican candidate for president at one time, Herman Cain, passed away from coronavirus. And as you guys all know, June 20th, he was at that rally in Oklahoma. There's video of him juking and bucking and having a good time and doing the old gussy up and all that to Michael Jackson's what's this Mary what's her name Billie Jean. Look, girl, I know Michael Jackson was turning over in his grave. Like, no, y'all won't be dancing to my song at a Republican rally for the current president. It's shocking. But Herman Cain has died as a result of coronavirus. And again, we saw this man alive and well June 20th in a stadium in a row of other Black people. What are your thoughts on that?
It's just incredulous to me because, I'm like, well, first of all, why did his wife allow him to do that? Because first of all, he was a stage 4 cancer survivor. So his immune system was already compromised. I don't understand that. So that was the first thing for me with, being able to relate to having a compromised immune system. So that was the first thing. Secondly, they said upon entry into the rally that everyone was checked, their temperatures were checked. And so obviously he was fine when he went into the rally, but obviously he probably contracted it once he was there because he couldn't have entered without, his temperature being checked. So I don't really understand why you would do that when God has given you a second chance at life with the stage 4 cancer journey.
You know what? I say that about quite a few people. I know people who have gone through some things. I too have a compromised immune system and have battled a cancer that, could come back at any particular time. Right. Exactly. And I say the same thing too, that why do you continue to play with fire? Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I guess people have no issue with that because he even sent out a tweet that he was over all of this and this whole mask wearing thing, almost as if he had a cockiness about this virus, and this would be the same virus that would take this man out. But what what people need to realize is, again, we saw this man June 20th dancing, having a good time, and this man is dead. So if you're not a believer now, you guys, you need to get on the bandwagon that this is serious, right?
Yes, definitely.
I just can't believe it. I'm with you on that one. All right, so let's continue to move on. Well, Dr. Anthony Fauci suggested yesterday that Americans should consider wearing goggles or a face shield in public in order to prevent spreading or catching COVID-19. And you and I were kind of joking backstage before we came on the show that, we both wear rather large spectacles. I love mines. And so, I told you most of the time I look like I have a burqa on because I'm covered up here. I'm covered here. Right. So all you see is basically this. And I'm actually loving it because it's becoming a fashion trend for me now to be photographed in my various masks and coordinating outfits. Yeah. And so have you ventured into the face shields or the goggles yet? And do you think it's necessary? And will you go that direction?
I haven't, but I will go that direction because who else is more knowledgeable than Dr. Fauci? I just don't understand, why people aren't listening to him. So again, yes, I'm like, and if I gotta wear it to save my life, shit, I mean, I might as well be cute with it. You might as well be cute with
it. Right. I'm with you. I am with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a lot to ask when you're trying to not only protect yourself, but you're also being considerate in protecting other people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I don't mind. I will be doing that.
Okay, I agree with you. I was with a lady a couple of weeks ago who had the most wonderful face shield on. And I told her, I said, boy, I need to go wherever you went so I can make sure it fits me. And I would love to get one. But Monica, did you ever think that we would be living in a time where, you know, we have to wear a mask to leave our homes, face shields. We are nervous and petrified about everything that is going on in our world. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, and we've all had wild dreams, think that this would ever happen?
Absolutely not. You know, but I just think, Art, you know, and again, we've had conversations. I'm not a very religious person. I've always been very spiritual. And I just think that, you know, I just think that perhaps God wanted us to reset, you know, just in terms of where we were going, in terms of the world and how we treat each other. And, you know, when you look at, you know, what's going on and politically in the world, I just think it's been time for a reset. And me personally, I've had to, I've been able to get a lot done. I've been able to be still and to really, you know, when we pray, I think sometimes we pray and then we ask God to order our steps and then we just jump up and go on about our business, but we don't remain still in order to hear what his message is. And so we miss it. And so I've been able to get a lot done during this time. I mean, fortunately, you know, it's an inconvenience. I can't see my family. I can't see my grandchildren who live in Chicago, but if I have to, you know, wear a face mask or a face shield in order to be here to see them for the rest of my life, then I will do that. But, you know, it's just it's just this time. It's uncertain.
I agree with you 100%. You know, when this all first started back in March, a lot of us were lost and confused. And, you know, really, it was very trying on not only your soul, but, you know, your spirit, your mental well-being, everything. But you're absolutely right. This has been a perfect time to press the reset button. It's been a perfect time to learn to be honest with yourself and your situations and circumstances. And you know, I must admit, just like you, and we've had several conversations. This has probably been the best my life has been in probably the last 12 years.
Me too, Art.
Yes. And so, you know, I just have to thank God for allowing me to be strong enough to endure during times like this. But then I'm going to also follow the right precautions and guidelines to make sure I'm able to stay around and you know, do the right things. We had some wonderful guests yesterday. We had Chef Takana Young was our guest co-host last night, and she was just absolutely amazing. And she was talking about, you know, make sure you eat your fruits and vegetables, take your vitamins. So yeah, you've got to do the right things.
Yes, exactly. I mean, because with this, oh Lord, I can't. I feel like by the time this is over, I'll be able to audition for my 600-pound life. I got to pull myself together, honey, because this is too much with this weight gain, the COVID-19.
You know what? I get it. We're not going to be on my 600-pound life, but I'm with you as well too. I have been nibbling and eating, and I don't know how to cook for one person. And so, you know, Sunday I made a pan of lasagna, and I normally make the industrial size pan. But again, trying to encourage people to come get it, pick it up. You know, it's not that they don't want my cooking, and they will, but I made a smaller pan, and I'm still divvying that out to people. Because if not, honey, I will eat that whole damn pan. I'll be like, I'll eat the whole damn pan. So I get. What have been your comfort food since we've been in this pandemic?
You know, really, to be honest with you, I live with my mother, and so I'm spoiled. My sister says it all the time. My brother, I'm the oldest, and I live with my mother, so I'm spoiled. Anything my mother cooks, I will eat it. She is known for her fried chicken. We've had that conversation several times. When she fries fish, it's chicken noodle soup. I mean, I don't really have a comfort food. Whatever my mama cooks, I'm gonna eat it because it's delicious.
Well, you know, I love your mama. Please tell her I said hello. She was so great the night that the two of you were on the show with me, and my audience just loved her. And, you know, all I know is that we're able to do a lot of things on this show. So, you know, maybe your mama can teach these folks how to fry good fried chicken, because, you know, a lot of young folks don't know how to fry good fried chicken now.
Well, old folks too, but it's an art to frying chicken, you know.
Okay. All right. Well, I see a segment coming up with Mama frying us some chicken live on the show. How about that?
That's wonderful. She would love that.
Very good. Well, today we said farewell to Congressman John Lewis, a beautiful and touching 3-hour service that took place in Atlanta at the home church of the late great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. I just thought it was the most beautiful service ever. Today we had three living presidents in house: President Bush, President Clinton, and of course President Obama delivered the eulogy. I am really upset and mad that our current president didn't even acknowledge the fact that the man had passed away, didn't encourage maybe lowering the flags in his honor. It was wonderful to see Nancy Pelosi there today.
Yes.
Thought it was just the most dignified service ever. Both of the singers who sang today at the service was incredible. Shout out to my girlfriend Jennifer Holliday. She
Yes.
did a beautiful job, only in the way Jennifer Holliday would do it and present it. And so I just thought it was great. Did you get a chance to check out the service today?
Yes, I watched most of it, and it was just so moving. I mean, when you think about our history, and just as African Americans and Black people, and I like to say sometimes I could be a colored woman. So, when you think about our history and his sacrifices, we have no choice but to take on that responsibility, to move forward and to vote. Everyone has to vote. I mean, especially this is the most important election that we've ever had. And so when I thought about the sacrifices, he at such a young age, and that's professionally and politically, but personally, it just seemed like he was such a beautiful spirit, such a good man.
Mm-hmm. You know what touched my heart more than anything is when his chief of staff got up to speak. She was so wonderful. He seemed as if he would be the man we all would want to work for. Mm-hmm. What I love more than anything is when somebody can do a testament of the fact that, the children, the grandchildren, the nieces, yes, nephews, they can all come to the office. And the fact that, he would go in a store and see great food and bring it back to the staff. Yeah. And to me, anybody who's a true leader, it's all about nurturing the people that work for you. There's a professional way that you can nurture people that they will never forget you. And then there's, other creeps that want to do things the wrong way and not, you get what I'm saying? The wrong direction. But I love everything that his chief of staff said today about the life and times of John Lewis. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, and when you listen to her talk about how some staff members had been there for 20 and over 20 years and no one wanted to leave. And he just was such a humble man, such a humble man.
Yes. All right. Well, very good. Long live the life and times of Congressman John Lewis. He was finally laid to rest today in Atlanta after a 7-day tour of various places, starting at the Edmund Pettus Bridge and then, to D.C. and just wonderful in so many ways. It was a beautiful, beautiful service. All right. So for the first time in 20 years, Oprah will not be on the cover of O Magazine.
Wow.
Imagine you are that influential that after 20 years of your own magazine, you will never be on the cover, or you're not on the cover of it. And the reason why she's not on the September issue cover is that it is paying tribute to Breonna Taylor. For those of you all that are not familiar, but you should be, and you should name her name on the regular. Breonna Taylor was a 26-year-old Black woman who was killed by police in March in her own home in Louisville. And so I love her statement. You can't be silent. Winfrey wrote in a statement accompanying the reveal, we have to use whatever megaphone we have to cry. Is absolutely beautiful, and concerned and committed. Is the sound still distorted? Is it still distorted now?
No, it's good now.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know what's going on. Honey, it's the Wi-Fi. You being an activist and a woman that's committed to our people, what do you feel about Oprah in this message of putting Breonna on the cover of her magazine?
I think it is so powerful. I mean, first of all, it is Oprah and she's powerful and, just in being Oprah, but to have that level of platform to send this kind of message, to the world, I just think it's phenomenal. And when you think about the fact that I think I read that December will be the last printed edition of O Magazine. So this is unfortunately it's an honor. Brianna is on this cover, but she will be one of the last printed covers before O Magazine moves to the digital platform. So that's an honor in itself, but it's so sad the reason why she's on the cover.
Yes, it is. And this is what I want to find out from you, Monica. Why do you think it's taking so long for us to get justice for Breonna Taylor? You know what I'm saying? George Floyd now is going to be remembered in holograms. George Floyd will go down in history as a change maker. Again, a Black woman who was giving her time, serving people. She was a first responder. She was in her own home. The police came in, wrong home, ended up killing her. And I'm wondering what is taking so long to get justice for Breonna Taylor.
Art, I don't know if we will eradicate systemic racism in my lifetime and maybe in my grandchildren's lifetime, but unfortunately, I'm just going to be very honest with you. I think if this was a white woman, things would be very different. I just don't understand. I know that there were 3 officers who were, and they were involved. There were more than 3 officers, but one officer was fired, and still there are 2 other officers. There have been no charges, and like you stated, they didn't make an announcement. They just burst into the home. They didn't have on uniforms, and so I don't understand how is that legal. I don't understand the law to that degree, So I just think, again, I think it's systemic racism. If this was a white young woman, I mean, if you think about it, years ago, think about the young white lady, the young white lady who disappeared. She was from a very influential family in Alabama, and she disappeared in the islands. We had movies, we had
Natalie Holloway.
Natalie Holloway story.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Why is it any difference? And this was a beautiful young lady who, like you said, she was on the front lines serving the community and people who needed it the most. So I just think it's, again, we need to have those very uncomfortable conversations about systemic racism. And I don't know if we're really there yet and if we're really ready to have those conversations. I think those conversations have begun, but we're not quite there yet.
Well, I know one thing. Now more than ever, we need to have these conversations because more and more things are going on where we are losing out. Am I still breaking up, or can you guys hear me? A couple of people have texted me. Am I clear? Okay. Yes, I apologize, you guys. This is via internet, and who knows? Ain't no telling, but just keep supporting the show. Thank you guys so much. But, now more than ever, we need to have these conversations about, justice for all. And to me, that's what this country should be based on, or at least that's what I thought this country was based on, justice for all. But for some reason, we're not seeing it, Monica. And why is that?
I mean, Art, again, this country was based on racism and oppression and slavery. And so I think, it's just time that, when you think about the Black Lives Matter movement and, the racial protests, and I mean, what do you expect? I just think we've, as Black people, African Americans, whatever term you're comfortable with using, we've been very, just resilient. And, I just think at this time, it's just time for us to finally have equality. And I just think, again, this foundation is based on oppression and racism. And it's time for that to end.
Yes. Well, with you being an advocate and an ally to the LGBTQ plus community, I wanted to talk to you about the number of murders of the transgender women that we've been hearing about in the news as well too. And what really alarms me is that it's been a high amount of numbers across the country, of trans women who have been murdered. So do you have any idea what's been going on with the whole trans women's women being murdered?
I don't know why we haven't shed more light on this. This is an epidemic. I was doing some research, and according to the Human Rights Campaign, we have surpassed the halfway mark for the number of Black transgender women who were murdered in the previous year. And so that's astounding to me. And I don't know why, as a society, I mean, I may know why, when you think about racism, it's Black women, it's Black trans women. But even within our own community, the LGBTQ community, it just seems as though transgender women and men are the most marginalized sector of our community. And when you think about the fact that, the Stonewall riots were basically led by two transgender women, Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson, I think that we are doing a disservice to their legacy. But I don't know why we're not talking about this as much as we should. And maybe it's because, they're Black, they're transgender women, and nobody really cares. We're just not having enough conversations and shedding enough light on this epidemic. And it's shameful.
It really is. I just, as I kept reading and studying more reports, and, we've had several cases here in Chicago, and, just been unfortunate. Some have been, where it was young men who, of course, had a good time with the transgender woman, and then came back and killed them. I don't know if it was out of, the fact that, they didn't realize what they were getting into, or just, rage and anger. I don't know. But then I've heard other stories of, transgender women who have just been living, a normal life, doing what they need to do. And then they've had violent attacks against them. So, I'm glad, we were able to bring this to the forefront tonight. And maybe, I can do some more research and have guests on to kind of talk about this situation, because the one thing that I've learned more than anything, and being a member of the LGBTQ plus community, our transgender brothers and sisters really do need to be respected and appreciated for who they are, because they're humans just like we are,
Exactly. Yeah, it's just sad. I did. I'm a recurring host on WPFW here in DC. It's the only LGBT talk radio show on the East Coast. And to be honest with you, I reached out to a few transgender individuals, and I tried to get them to come on as guests. And I finally got one from Chicago, and we did a show on that. And you really have, again, I think sometimes we have to have uncomfortable conversations. And I think sometimes the men who date transgender women or are attracted to them may not know, but I think that's changing. And I think that the way society, we judge heterosexual men for loving transgender women, we judge them, we ostracize them, and so they're shamed. And I think there's anger with that, because a lot of these straight men are not being tricked, honey. They know that these are transgender women, and then you have to question yourself, like, why, like, oh my gosh, someone's going to judge me because I'm attracted to a transgender woman.
You're absolutely right. And that's been something that has gone on for many years. Yes, but now that people are very forward and coming out and, standing up for themselves, you're right. So that's definitely a more in-depth conversation that we would have to have down the line. Listen, you guys ever need me on that radio show, let me know. I would love to do some interviews with you guys. I had no idea about the station, so I would definitely love I would love to chime in one evening with you guys on a conversation. So think about it.
I would like that.
All right, very good. All right, well, we are going to move on. We have some other things that we're going to talk about at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. And listen, so you're going to be our relationship expert tonight, since it's Relationship Thursday. And
how you pick me for the relationship? How you pick me for the relationship?
Well, honey, look, I like when you sent the topic to me, and I'm becoming the person that I've been asking God to send to me. And the funniest thing is, that's kind of interesting that you say that, because I am currently kind of in a situation where I ask God for a certain type of person to be there for me, and God has presented that type of person for me. But the funny thing is, it's completely opposite of what I normally would have asked God for.
But that's God's will. That's not your will.
Oh, okay. So we'll talk about that at 8 o'clock. All right. Yeah, so wait to hear what we're gonna lay out with that. I cannot wait. That's gonna be good because, honey, I think it may have been the devil's will. I had a list of what I wanted, how I wanted it, all of that. And I guess God said, no, let me bring you something that's completely different.
Exactly.
And so, okay. So I'm all good. All right. So are you ready to welcome our next guest?
Yes, I am.
All right, well, let me say this. For those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be here with you guys. It is my Friday. I'm excited. Not that I have much to do because we're in the midst of a global pandemic. We want to remind you guys that. Keep in mind, everybody here in the state of Illinois, you are required to wear a mask. I know you guys don't want to do it, but please wear a mask so we can keep the transmission of COVID down. Put that mask on, baby. Sanitize. I keep this with me all the time. My poor cuticles, they're being eaten up, but that's okay because I'm always doing this. My cuticles are a mess, child, because all this hand sanitizer. Don't forget to social distance. And don't forget to eat healthy, do the right things, but protect yourself. But we are seeing rising numbers here in the state of Illinois, and we're also seeing rising numbers on the East Coast in the DMV, correct?
Yes, that's the DMV.
Yes. All right. Well, Monica M. Pickett is our guest co-host tonight. She's an activist, a veteran. Thank you for serving our country. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
She's written a wonderful book that's a bestseller right now. She'll talk about that a little bit before the show is over. And so tonight we're going to welcome to the show an amazing young lady. She's Karen Jenkins. She's a Chicago research data expert, and she is the founder of Kids Analytics. And she's here tonight to address, first of all, to help us to understand what she does. Because, see, I got a feeling she's a numbers cruncher. I got a feeling, she be like, peanut butter is better. Peanut butter is better chunky. I just got a feeling she's going to educate us in all of that. But she's here to also talk about how she has a wonderful opportunity for people who are between 8th grade and senior year in high school. And I'm telling you now, if whatever she's offering is that good, I am an overgrown kid with a hormone issue. That's all I'm saying. I need to get in whatever this is. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Chicago's very own Karen Jenkins. Hey,
welcome, Karen.
How are you?
I'm doing great, and you?
Good. It's so glad to see you tonight. It's eyeglass night. Look, great.
I took them off, and I said, no, I got to match them.
Yes, that's what we do. Great hair and eyeglasses.
Yes, honey.
Look, and beautiful smiles. Here we go.
Yes, right?
We love it. So welcome to the show. Monica is my co-host tonight. You two say hello to each other.
Welcome, Karen.
Hi, my East Coaster. I used to live up there.
Oh, wonderful. Hey.
Great. Well, Karen, tell us all about yourself and exactly what you do. And so it says research data here on my, so again, does that mean creamy peanut butter or chunky peanut butter? The floor is all yours.
I am not that serious. It's more so I'm kind of like Monica. I use data to, fight the good fight for the people of the country. So what I do, I'm a research data specialist. I work at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. So basically what I do, I build database systems for the state of Illinois, for maternal, infant, early childhood. I do other consulting on various grants outside of the university, like National Institute of Health and different things. So I am an analyst. I love numbers because it does tell a story, and it helps you also to help your community, the same as the census.
Oh, I love that. And so how long have you been doing this?
Well, data, I want to say I started back in undergrad. So I'm kind of telling my age. So over 15 years ago.
Okay. That's still a baby. That's a baby.
And it's only because, I was looking to see why some communities are thriving better than others, why schools are thriving more than others. So data helped me to be nosy and understand what's going on a little bit more than just the surface. So that's kind of how I got into data. And I use it in every job I do. I can't get away from it. You really just can't. It's just that important. And even now more than ever, with just like how we're streaming on the internet and everything, data is everywhere, but you have to know how to leverage it. You have to know how to be strategic, and you have to know the business problem that's at hand, whether it's helping your community or figuring out a problem on your own. You can leverage it any way. So it's in everything we do. It is the world that we live in, and it is these kids' world that they grew up and they were born in this AI world.
You are absolutely right, because it's so funny. I told somebody, I said, listen, I remember when I was the remote control for the TV.
Yeah.
Get up and turn the damn TV. You get what I'm saying?
We used to call the operator to cut the line because you're trying to get to your family member. It was
right. And here's the crazy piece. We live in such a world now that I have a television that's so high tech that the remote was on my cell phone. But come to find out, with me having to broadcast from home now, I had to eliminate a lot of those little extra apps and things like that to make sure this television transmission is great. The TV, you cannot turn it on. You've got to get a remote. I couldn't find a remote. I had to go out and buy another remote. Back in the day, you just went and pressed the button on the TV.
Right.
Yeah. No, this TV has no button to turn on. You've got to have a remote or go through the app. Look at where we are. We're living the Jetsons now. That's what I heard.
And I would say this is kind of how I explain analytics to people. I said, it's like the Jetsons mixed with Minority Report. That's where we are.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, and this is a question that I always have to ask anybody that comes on my show. Are we as African Americans behind the 8 ball? Are we, when we talk about STEM, when we talk about finance, when we talk about our health, anything we talk about, we're the last ones to get hooked up with anything. Where are we in when it comes to data?
Well, we are behind because it's all bundled up in STEM. So you won't see just someone say, "Oh, analyst this." It will be in STEM because I am a STEM person. So it's the science, the technology, the engineering, and math. So we're all behind because those are the advanced degrees. Those are the ones that make the money that we haven't been privileged with in the first place. And a lot of times, I think also with analytics, it could be not only just because of the STEM field and, math and everything, but we have been X'd out of business practices for so long. But that's where analytics was really heavily used. So we didn't have those tools to begin with.
Wow, that's so interesting. So let me ask you this. How did you come up with kids analytics? Because here's the deal. What I love about you, you're being a fairy godmother. You're helping our young people to step into a career, as you said, that will take you many places. So how did you come up with the concept?
Well, because I like data, and I was, I think I was just graduating with my MBA and MIS at the time. And I just started to notice, like when I talked about data, and also too, just being in Chicago, going on all these interviews, no one knew how to put me in a certain position. And I found myself just a lot of managers when I was going for analyst position, because they wanted people more tech, but you can be tech and just pump stuff out and not know what you're looking at. You have to know the problem at hand to actually notice trends in different things. So I found that was a disconnect. And I was like, oh, because people really don't understand and business analytics, they understand it in the business world. But now when I went to the medicine world, because that's where I came from, medicine first, and social science, they didn't understand, like, okay, where do I fit? And one thing I started to notice, it was just a lot of repostings of the same job every couple of months, because they were hired, then they had to fire because they didn't really know what they were looking for. And then so I started to see, okay, well, what are kids being taught? And they're not really being taught these skills really early on enough where they can actually utilize them, say like in an internship while they're in college. They have to learn it before they can get to that point, which is later on in that 4-year process. And for African Americans and low income students, that's if we make it to the end. So So, so I started looking at those things about it. And also, too, just like even when I started becoming a contractor for the government and everything, I just started to notice I was the only one. I've always been. So I started to say, why is that? Where is everybody at? And I know it's not just because I'm just that nosy. So yeah, that's when I said, hey, we gotta start with the kids, because I did come from elementary, working in the school systems early on in my career and building programs. So I was like, well, how can I do this? I do love kids. So I was like, maybe Kidalytics, because kids need analytics. So I said Kidalytics. And this was like over 3 years ago. COVID hit, and I was just like, you know what? I wanted to do it at the community college. I was waiting for the RFP, but COVID hit. And because I do come from that medicine background, I knew what was going to happen, because I lived in third world countries before. I was like, we're not coming outside for a while. People not going to do what they're supposed to do because we're too free here. And I know it. I've been with way less, so I knew it. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I just launch online? And I was like, hey, thank you, stimulus check. I didn't need you. So I said, hey, that was my infusion. And here we are today.
You know what? Perfect. I'm going to let you go 2 seconds, because I was coming to you. Perfect example of what we were saying earlier about perfect time to pivot. Monica, go right ahead.
I just had a question, Karen. Now, I know we're in the midst of this pandemic, but do you think that some of your partnerships will be more with, and I know that you're a contractor, more with the school systems, or I was thinking of organizations like the organization that I used to work for, organizations like the National Society of Black Engineers, where they also have pre-K programs, where I think this would be a wonderful partnership.
Well, I have to get that information from you. That's information I didn't even know about. So thank you for that. Right now, I haven't done any partnerships. I'm in talks now for like workforce development, because I'm noticing that's a big thing. Like, even though I've been targeting from 8th grade to 12th grade, one thing I did notice, because I do have all these skills and degrees, people want me to do more things as far as in business. But it's not just business, it's understanding how to track that, but it's more workforce development, because the biggest thing is, and I try to tell people, even though I'm trying to promote analytics and I'm teaching analytics, really, I'm promoting the future, because we don't know what's going to be created. The jobs that are here now, they're gone. It was 123 million jobs that's going to be gone. It was projected by 2020 because of the baby boomers. And a lot of those jobs wasn't coming back. It was over 30-something million jobs to be created. Out of the 10 specialties, 6 of them was analysts. And that doesn't matter if it's machine learning, AI, everything starts with analytics and understanding how to analyze that data. So me understanding that and going to all these digital government summits and, American Public Health Association. So I have my ear to a lot of different things. So I'm just like, it's no way, even when COVID hit, I was like, this is a pivotal moment in our history to actually revamp and get some things right when it comes to education, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to housing. So it's not a new thing, but those are the things people are looking for, because those are the things that we need to do to rebuild this country. And it's going to be the youth behind us, just the way someone helped me and held my hand and pushed me this way. And as they're leaving out, they're mentoring me too as well. So I have to bring these kids up, because it's the world they're going to live in that I want to grow old in.
Exactly. Well, I think that would be a wonderful, partnership to look into, because again, they have NSBE chapters all over the country, and they also have pre-college chapters all over the country. And I just think that would be a wonderful partnership for you to look into.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm about to cry. I'm about to look. The eyeglass and good hair magic tonight. I'm just look. I'm about to lay down this show. I'm about to take it in now. I'm eclipsed behind all of this, because, ladies, we've got to save our future. We were last night's show. We were talking about, unfortunately, every time you turn on the news, young African Americans are in the news. The 3 ladies at the Fort Lauderdale airport that fought the Spirit airline workers. Now these young ladies, come on, they got a record now. They on the cannot fly list. 15 people were shot at a funeral here in Chicago.
Oh my God.
Young men on a divvy bike carjacked an 81-year-old man this weekend. So anything that we can do to encourage our young people that look, the paper is out there to be made. The educational opportunities are there. There are people rooting for you. Karen, I just love you. Monica, I love you, because here we are complete strangers, but our goal is to help our people any way we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Karen, what's next? How can we continue to help you and help grow and build what you're doing? I know you're giving scholarships out. I think people should get behind this 100% and help you. So tell us what we need to do next to be a part of your mission. We're co-signing your mission tonight.
Yes. So the next thing I need people to do is to go to kidalytics.com and become a collaborator. Donate so a kid that's unfortunate can come, especially with this educational divide and gap. Low-income families are going to hurt the most, and I'm going to be behind because they're not getting those educational instructions. So for those who do have, please go donate. 100% of donations go toward that scholarship to help kids, because now more than ever, we have to put education at the forefront.
I love it. I do. Matter of fact, here, wait, I'm getting ready to put it on the screen. Let's see. Can I do that? I am. Right there is kidsanalytics.com, kidsanalytics.com. You guys go there, huh?
It's Kidalytics.
With a plural. Okay, I'm old. I can't see. All right. let me edit this. Look, let me write it. Look, we trying to save more than one kid. Right. So hold on. Right. Doggone it. I was made one kid. Okay. So hold on. Hold on. You know, I told you, Chad Daddy getting old. So here we go. All right. So now we trying to help plural kids. Okay. So it is kidsanalytics.com. And so for anybody who would be interested in their child, grandchild, niece, nephew, how can they get in this program?
Yeah, so they can, if you can pay, you can go to the www.kidalytics. Oh no, you got to take the S out. The kids is KIDALYTICS.
Oh, okay, got you. Okay.
And sign up at the registration, or sign up for the free scholarship on our social impact initiative. So it's really simple, the application, and there's only 2 qualifications. You get a full scholarship if you get free lunch, and a partial scholarship for reduced lunch. Because I thought that was the best way when I noticed people in California, the pay scales is just too different. So the kids' lunch was the food. So yeah, come enjoy. You know, we have kids from all over. They're making friends. We have guest speakers that have been collaborators. Like this week, one thing we did last week, we talked about food deserts, because I think that is so important, especially in this time of, you know, the food pantries. So we talked about food deserts, and I love to give kids 2 perspectives, because when you talk about research, it's not one perspective. So, and I like them to break it down. So I'm not making these kids crunch numbers all day or anything. I'm making them critical think. I'm thinking about their social emotional learning, how you communicate with others and stuff too. Also, strategic planning. So it's a combination of the whole child, not just one aspect of just, oh, I need you to remember this. No, because I think education is so much more than that and involved.
I love it. Monica, anything else you want to say to our guest tonight? Isn't she wonderful? I'm just
so amazing.
I want to tell you, Cat Daddy, I met you at dinner in Blanc 2 years ago.
Really?
I was walking in my nice white dress with my friend, and you stopped us. You came out of VIP and you said, hey, I feel like I should know you. You're going to be somebody. What do you think? And we came in VIP and sat with you. And you gave me your card. You said, you need to come on my show.
See there?
Wow.
See, wait a minute. I'm so happy. See there, Blanc, you right. I now remember, you right. I was in VIP, and I said, I got to know, and you, oh my God, okay. And see, I didn't even know that. See how it all works out?
Divine alignment.
I'm gonna find it and send it to you, though.
I love you, honey. I didn't even know that. Look, see, that's what touches my heart more than anything, that I've had an impact on people, and no matter where I go, people will follow me. But no, I had no idea. That's beautiful. And see, you're wonderful publicist, you know, just told me you were amazing, great, and anything that can help our people, that's what I'm all about. So I love you so much. Oh, well, thank you. Dinner in Blanc would be right about now, wouldn't it?
It would. I looked at the picture. I was like, oh, that was August. Yep.
Oh my God, I had so much fun. It was the evening when it was over at IIT on the campus of
Yes,
IIT.
it was. Yep.
Yeah. Monica, anything else you want to say to our guests, my dear?
Just that I think you are doing amazing work for our children, and I definitely will follow you on your social media platforms and reach out to you so that we can make some connections with some of my old colleagues at the National Society of Black Engineers, because I think this is a very worthy cause.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're all sisters. We're family.
Yes.
Yeah. This is like a fairy godmother show tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Really
Right.
Blessings rain down on me.
Who knew? You know what I'm saying? That's so funny. I called your publicist. I was like, look, let's book on the show tomorrow night. I didn't know any of this would happen. You know, this, and the audience is just loving this. This is what this is all about. This is reality TV or digital show, and look at how God works things out while we on the air. This is so incredible.
He always working.
Amen. Karen, in closing, what would you like for the audience most to know as your closing thoughts, as well as tell people how they can follow you on all social media platforms? And somebody sent me a message saying, now, is your entire program virtual because of COVID? And can people across the country be a part of this program?
Those are great questions. So it is kids from all across the country. It is virtual right now because of COVID. We're all trying to stay safe. And yes, you can follow us on www.kidalytics.com. Sign up for our mailing list as well. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at kidalytics.com, spelled the same way. And one thing I just want to say, I think everybody needs to understand, like, we're preparing kids for jobs that don't exist. So preparation starts now. We can't wait till tomorrow. So I would urge everyone to just understand, even if you don't know the unknown, these kids will build the unknown. And that's what I'm trying to give to them, and even trying to educate the parents on, hey, you don't need to know everything. We don't know everything. But these kids, you have to prepare them because their job doesn't exist. They need to create it. They need the skills to live in the society that we're moving forward in, because it's not enough already. So that's all I want people to really understand. And if you can contribute, come be a collaborator in our social impact. And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. And I would say, if you become a collaborator, do it for a long-term commitment. I'm in this for the long term. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I'll probably still be doing it when I'm gone from this world and pass it on to someone. So it's so much needed, and not just here in the U.S., globally. There's a divide of 1.6 million children not getting education, or lack of education is educational gap. So please come join, because sooner or later we're going to have kids from all across the globe, and those relationships are so important to build kids, to have kids from low income to high income, different perspectives, because that is the real world, and you need those early on to survive. Whether you go to college, whether you go to a trade, these skills are lifelong skills.
You know what? When I was in Dubai, I was in a coffee shop, and these young people, teenagers, were sitting around talking about their portfolios and their stock options.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, these are teenagers. But again, we're talking about in Dubai. When I traveled to, Asia and Japan, China, the young people are so technology savvy that is just incredible. And so, our American children, whether black, white, brown, whatever, we've got to elevate their level of, finance. We've got to elevate their level of electronic use, just all of that. Not that they don't know how to use these things, but they really need to know how to maximize them, because this is the way of the future. Correct, Karen?
Yeah. Correct. Couldn't have said it no better.
I love it. Monica, anything you want to say to our guest before we bid her an adieu?
Just thank you for enlightening us, and I look forward to connecting with you.
I do too. Thank you so much. And you guys have a great night. It's
a pleasure. Karen, give us the website one more time, my dear.
www.kidalytics.com.
All right. Well, whatever you guys can do to support Kidalytics, please do so. Donate, If you know of a young person that would benefit from this program, please do so. Karen is amazing. She keeps talking about all these degrees and years, and look, she's no older than 19. So I mean, I'm just telling y'all how this works. And she remembers me being
Thank you,
fabulous.
Karen.
I knew she was fabulous then. So that works very well. I just love it. Well, Karen, thank you so much. God bless you. We'll be in touch anytime you need this platform to get the word out. If you want to talk to us about anything, this platform is here for you.
Maybe we can follow up with kids later on.
Okay, beautiful. However you want to do it.
Yeah.
And look, this backdrop behind you is amazing. I love that backdrop.
This is a painting. My friend did this for me. Yeah.
Look, you win for fabulous backdrop this evening.
Yes.
Have a great night, darling. We love you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right. Love you guys too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Good night. Wow. We did that, didn't we?
That was amazing. Wow.
I know. And look, thank you for helping her. How incredible was that? Look, you got, fried chicken. Selling offer, and then you're helping the guest to succeed, honey. You every woman. You are really every woman.
Yes.
You are. Are you enjoying yourself with me tonight?
Oh God, I love it, Art. You stuck with me now, honey.
Okay, darling. Well, don't look. When I say, "Hey, girl, you need to come co-host," you better be ready.
Whenever you call, I'll come running, honey.
Yes, well, thank you, darling. Another thing that we kind of wanted to talk about, and I got a little heat from Dr. Tony Bond last night. I had called Kanye West a nutcase, and I had to apologize. And I know, and it's not the politically correct thing to do. So I told him my medicine hadn't quite kicked in last night. But you and I have talked oftentimes, about people and that mental health now more than ever, especially in the Black community, with all the things we've had going on. Why is it still a stigma that people don't want to address their mental health issues?
I just think because whenever they do, disclose that to their intimate circle or, the expanded circle, they feel judged, and you can understand that. So why would I want to disclose those issues with you when, I feel as though you're going to judge me? And I just think that we need to have more compassion for people with mental illness, because it is an illness and they can't help it. And, especially when you're someone, for example, a celebrity, a high profile celebrity, and your life is just broadcast and highlighted. And then, his in-laws, they live their lives on being seen in the media. And so I'm sure that's very hard for someone who is struggling with a mental illness. And, I've dated someone in the past who was bipolar, and it's difficult. I mean, for adults, because you can't make them go into treatment. You can't make them take their medications. And when you have that high level of profile of visibility, it's very hard because you're living your struggles in public, and that's really hard to do, considering what you're going through.
I'm glad you kind of said that, because I too was in a relationship with someone that I said, listen, I have my set of issues. You have your set of issues. I said, if we learn to come together and work on our set of issues, but we know we love each other and want to be in this relationship, I need you to do like I have done and go figure out what you need to do. And if you do that, and as you said, get it together, get some maintenance on it or whatever the case may be. And this person had a hard time accepting that fact. And over the course of years, we've tried to enter into each other's life again. Mm-hmm. And each time the conversation is, I'm stronger, I'm better, I'm this, I'm that. And you give it about 10 to 15 days and that other person show up. And so, and the thing is that, again, this is somebody who I loved unconditionally, but it just makes me wonder, why are we so afraid of facing that demon that's within us?
I don't know. I think we as a culture, we tend to hide things, and, we don't want to share, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And you know how that is with our culture, and it's difficult, and when you look at individuals like a Kanye, or, like I said, I've dated someone who actually, she was an exotic dancer. Okay. And so when you think about, for example, Ah, so when I got to know her, and she would say, if you knew the real me, you wouldn't like me. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Did you kill somebody? What's going on? And I realized that in order for her to dance and perform, she wouldn't take her medication because it would make her very lethargic. Okay. And so she wouldn't take her medication in order to work and dance, but then she would mix that with alcohol, and it was just a disaster. So imagine what Kanye is going through on this huge visible, platform where everything he does is seen, and he's having a manic episode and not taking the medication. I mean, what can his family do? What can his wife do? I mean, he's an adult. You can't make him take it. You can't make him go into treatment. He has to make that decision. So I just, my heart it just breaks for people like that, because they have to want, to get the help for themselves. And you can support them, but you can't make them do it.
Because I guess over the weekend, he took himself to an emergency room. He got there, and just like any emergency room, I don't care if you in Podunk, Mississippi, wherever, most emergency rooms are crowded. Most emergency rooms, you've got to blend in with everybody else. There's only been a couple of times that my celebrity has allowed me to at least be in a private room, waiting to be seen at the emergency room. But most of the time, you've got to blend in with everybody else because you just like everybody else. Then they sent a paramedic to his ranch where he lives, and he refused to leave with them. So you're right. It's a matter of you've got to make the decision that you do want to get help, that you do want to be treated. And you're right. Mental illness is really a disease. It's a sickness. But I think, a lot of people have coddled Kanye because of his wealth and who he is, and have ignored a lot of his erratic behavior. Because when he jumped on that stage with Taylor Swift, I knew something wasn't right then.
Yeah, but and that's true. And then also, bipolar or other mental illnesses, they can be genetic, hereditary, and then you couple that with again, manic episodes and celebrity and high visibility. That's a difficult situation to deal with.
You know what? A conversation that you and I will have to have one evening when I have you back is that I too have dated somebody who was in the adult industry, actually dancer as well as film star, as well as film star. And the thing is that people were surprised and shocked. But what I learned was, outside of that person's image, both these people's images, they were the sweetest people ever.
Oh my God.
And people would find that hard to believe. They would find that so hard to believe. Right.
Yeah. I mean, and then my thing is like, stop judging people. Stop judging people. I mean, I've dated and I've met exotic dancers, and they were working their way through law school, medical school, and not all of them. Some of them, they had traumatic experiences as children, but they were doing it. I mean, they were designers and so stop judging people. I mean, really, because please, child, if I had a body to dance up.
You understand me? I'm retired. I'm retired. You get what I'm saying? I'm retired. You understand? Because I say that all the time. Look, any of my platforms, I've always been. Matter of fact, Chris Bass was interviewing me here on the show last Wednesday night. And he said, if you weren't chatting, I said, look, I'd be a sex worker. I said, it has always been my fascination. I enjoy dollar bills. I love when people have dollar bills in their hands, so I'm with you on that. Look, maybe me and you might have to go into a business.
We may have to, because
we might have to go into a plus size pleasing business.
Look, art, I'm telling you, those women be putting in work, honey. That's an art, honey. And with the new show on Stars P Valley, that is work that they have to do. So stop judging people.
That's right. Well, and that takes us into our relationship topic this evening. We're actually talking about becoming the person you are asking God to send to you. And I don't know about you, but, both of my situations of being with people that, come from the adult exotic world was, it was my conquest to be able to say, hey, I dealt with a stripper. It was my conquest to say, hey, I've had a relationship with a porn star. So, how do we finally get to that point when you want to say, God, I want something a little bit more than, the body glitter, the jock strap, all of that. When do you get to that point in life?
Well, I think that for me personally, I got to that point after my divorce. And again, we've talked about this, Art. I had to be still and understand what part I played in the downfall of my divorce. And so I realized that, one, I can never be in someone's shadow again. I can never dim my light. This is who I am. Okay. And I had a habit of falling in love with women who were either they weren't out to their family, they weren't out at work. And I was like, as a result of loving them and being with them, I had to be back in the closet. And I was like, well, how the hell I ended back in the closet? I came out at 13.
Right.
And so now, because I've taken time to love myself and get to know myself. Listen, you can't even buy me a drink if you ain't out to your mammy, your pastor, your pappy. You can't even buy me a drink because somebody may accuse you or assume that you're a lesbian because you're with me. And a lot of my heterosexual friends, they love me and they're like, whatever, I
Right.
love you. We've been friends forever. But I think that also you have to become the person you're asking God to send you. And I say that because years ago, I had a male friend and he was just wonderful, honey. But he was like, oh, the next man, he got to be this, he got to have 6 figures, he got to drive a BMW. And I said, child, boo, you don't drive a BMW. You don't make 6 figures. How are you asking God to send you all this laundry list of things and you're not those things? You're not being a compassionate and kind person. And he was like, oh my God, I never thought of that. So I'm single, happily single. But I'm not looking for anyone. I tend to believe in organic connections. Mm-hmm. And I think that I have to take this time where we're in this pandemic to work on myself and to become the person that I'm asking God to send me. Because I can't say, I want this compassionate person. I want a kind person who loves me and adores me in public. And, they're beautiful inside and out. And I am not those things.
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest misconception that a lot of people would think that when you're living the LGBTQ plus lifestyle, that we're all whorish, that we all, accept whatever that comes along. And no, we all have our own style, our own taste, the type of people we like. Again, as I said before, my curiosity was, can I actually deal with a famous exotic dancer? Can I actually deal with somebody that's a porn star? And once I learned that these people were just really beautiful people that needed somebody different, because again, Chat Daddy is one person and art is another. Exactly. And I think people have a hard time believing that we look for people that are of quality just like we are,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, the people that I dated that were in the industry, they were just kind people. They had children, they had dreams and hopes, and that was their job. I mean, I would, times have changed. I mean, you have some of the best exotic dancers. They could make, if it's an NBA playoff weekend or NFL game, if it's the Super Bowl and they're in Miami, baby, they can make $30,000 in one night. I ain't mad at you. Do it, get it. You know. I mean, that's their job. They have they have children. So stop judging people. But at the same time, they're just like you and I. They have hopes and dreams just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I matter of fact, how I got introduced to Whole Foods is my friend who was the exotic dancer only ate from Whole Foods. and you go in there back in the day, Whole Foods was whole paycheck. But my exotic dancer friend, that's all he wanted was things from Whole Food. His body was a temple, and that was his, way. And that's how I learned about Whole Foods. I had no idea, oh my God, you paid how much for this apple? And, so you'd be very surprised. Why is it, Monica, that a lot of people ignore red flags in relationships? See, now the thing is that I've never been that person. I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. I sit with my legs crossed and my shoe dangling off my foot because I'm always ready for the other shoe to drop. But why is it that people ignore red flags? And they do it all the time.
I think people just want to be happy. You want, the best for your life. You want to be happy. I know for me, I love very hard, and you know, you tend to convince yourself that, oh, okay, well, that's not so bad. I could deal with that, or I could deal with this for a certain amount of time, or maybe this will change. But I just think that the bottom line is that people want to be happy, and you ignore those red flags when you see them.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then once you're into it, it's a little too late.
There's a video being circulated on the internet as we speak right now of a man who gave, I guess, his woman or his wife a DNA test that the daughter wasn't really theirs, and it was the daughter's birthday. And it's just so heart wrenching that, I know so many men that, have been told they were the dad of a child. So many men that the woman said, "Oh, I'm pregnant, it's yours." I know men that have lost, their cars, their jobs, and I wonder, see, I never let things get to that level. You get what I'm saying? So why do people fall in that trap of dimming their light for somebody else just to be in a relationship?
I don't know. I think it's really about loving yourself first and not knowing how to do that, and confidence, because again, I would often fall in love with women who weren't out, and I would end up dimming my light. And this is just who I am. I'm very much an extrovert. You know, and this is, I don't know. I just think that when you dim your light, you just do yourself such a disservice. You know what I mean? And it's a very heart-wrenching situation when you do that. Um, I don't know. It's just something that you have to be still and be honest with yourself and acknowledge, because that can kind of break your spirit if you allow it, because
Mhm.
like I said, I would fall in love with women. They weren't out to their parents, and they weren't out to the pastor, and I was like, well, damn, how I end up back in the closet? And because I love that person so much. And so now, like I said, this is like, honey, I don't, as an author, as a new independent author, I don't want someone who is, whether they're young or someone who's older, who may be struggling with their sexuality. I don't want them to wonder if I'm a lesbian. I am a lesbian, and we need our children and anyone who's struggling with their sexuality. They need to see women like me. I'm no different than anyone else. I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a veteran, I have an MBA, and like you, I've always wanted to be a wonderful housewife.
Yeah. That's what I always say. That's my thing. Right. I said that back in grade school. I don't know where that came about. We should have known then. But I always said that in grade school that, listen, I want to be accomplished. I want to travel the world. I
Yes,
want, I want to do the best things in life. But when it comes to my mate, I really do want to be the housewife of the
me
situation
too.
with a career now. But that is who, right. So I get that. I really do. So we're
Yeah.
continuously working on that goal and that dream of doing that, to have a fabulous home, make sure everything is in place. Food is always on the table.
Yes. Yes.
Just people don't even, we live in a world now where people, I don't care what kind of relationship, whether it's a gay relationship, straight relationship, people, to me, the gender role reversal type of situation, that's out the window too. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
it is.
A
Yes, it
lot
is.
of these women that don't know how to cook, a lot of these guys that don't care, well, as long as I got a chair to sit in, I don't care how this house
Mm-mm.
look. And so
No.
to me, it does not build for a great relationship. What do you think?
No, no, I agree. I mean, ever since my son was younger, he has a family now. I have two grandchildren, and I used to talk to him, and I still talk to him about, you know, if you get home first, cook dinner, have dinner ready before she gets home. That'll help her, or you take the kids to school and, give her time, give her an opportunity to have some me time. So I think that's important, but I also, I was raised with seeing my grandparents. They were married for several, like over 40 years until my
Wow.
grandfather died. And I saw how my grandmother took care of my grandfather. Like she would cook dinner, but she would always make his plate first. And then she would
Mhm.
make everyone else's plate. And
Mhm.
that's how I molded myself.
Mhm.
I just wanted to be a housewife, but I also wanted to be independent at the same time and bring something to the table. I thought that was very important, but I've always wanted to have a wife to take care of, and also to have a wife take care of me, and not just financially, but when someone can walk through the door and they see your face and they know that you've had an awful day, or someone can call you and hear that you've had an awful day and you don't have to say anything. That's important to me. That's what
Mhm.
I've always longed for.
Okay, well, me and you gonna have to start us a wife club.
Child,
We,
yeah.
we, we gonna have to start us a housewife club. We gonna have to. Right. Look.
Or look, because I'm about to join a damn convent. I'm like, what the hell is going on, honey?
Well, you know what? And that's something we need to talk about, because here we are in the midst of a global pandemic. So that means dating is getting ready to change. As you said, we both are saying, I'm about to join a damn convent, because really, I mean, we know what love is like. We know
Right.
how to love, how to give love. But now that we're in this pandemic, this is getting ready to change the entire trajectory of finding somebody. How do you think it's all going to work now with what we're going through?
Well, I think that we are, because of this pandemic, we are forced to do traditional things that we stopped doing, like going on picnics, or I'm not a technology kind of girl. I'm not doing Grind or Tinder, all that craziness. I don't want to do all that. I like to be, I like the connection to be organic, like you meet someone at the gym or meet someone in the grocery store. But like you said, how can you do that when you have a mask on? But you can see someone's smile lines now, but it's just a different time, and I don't think that we're ever going to go back to a normal. We have to create new norms moving forward. So I just think that we'll have to do traditional things like having picnics, or unfortunately spending time on the phone getting to know someone, and even writing letters. I mean, years ago, I remember when I was falling in love with someone, we lived in different states and we wrote letters, and it's so amazing, Art. Like one time, this was a true story, we wrote to each other on the same night. We wrote a letter to each other on the same night because it was dated. So those kind of things, traditional things that we're forced to do now. And it allows you to get to know people versus just, having a hookup or a booty call or something like that, because that's
Mhm.
not going to happen.
Well, I said on last night's show that booty calls will not return until the country is in stage 6. In stage 6. I said last night that I'm gonna call the governor of Illinois and I'm gonna say, Governor, there's one more stage, and that stage is stage 6, and I'm gonna put my suit on, I'm gonna get on TV, and I'm gonna say, okay, we're now in stage 6 of this situation. Booty calls are now official again. So now damn well we ain't heard about no stage 6. So this is all changed, right? This is all changed. This is
Oh,
all changed.
God.
So, really, I'm afraid, because anybody really, I have a few friends and I love my friends, and they know, this is Chat Daddy talking. So my boo things, we cool and all of that. But this is now going to require a COVID test. This is going to require, more STD
Yes,
checking and things
yes.
like that. Because again, we're talking about droplets are now, it's something
Mm-hmm.
that we don't even know where it comes from. And
Exactly.
when you want to get out and have a good time with somebody, you've got to be sure about it.
Yes, exactly. It's just a terrifying time for anyone, especially again for those of us with underlying health conditions. But again, Art, I'm just using this time to, to better myself, to get to really know myself, and to again become the person I'm asking God to send me. So whenever He sends me someone, then I'll be ready. And I just think that's important.
Yeah, I do too. So let's move on with our list. We've talked about how communication is key. Sometimes it's a blessing not to get what you want. Now, what do you mean with that? That's interesting too, because I think this might be a part of what I think as well too. What do you mean it might be a blessing not to get what you want?
Yeah, I just mean that sometimes, God will close a door and we're so disappointed and we think that's the end of the story or our desires or our want. And later on down the road, we realize that that was the best thing for us and we just really didn't know it. For example, I was interested in someone years ago when I was very young, and I think I was, I took her somewhere. It was to the island somewhere, and she was just paying me no mind, honey. She would just not give me any time of day. And later on, I found out that she was HIV positive, and so I was like, wow, thank you, Father God, for giving me what I for not giving me what I thought I wanted, and that was just an eye opener for me. And, and that's an extreme example, but it's real. And even with, I tell my son, if you're flying somewhere, not currently right now, but before the pandemic, if you're flying somewhere and you miss a plane, he would be all, bent out of shape. I was like, listen, go to the lounge and have a cocktail. You weren't supposed to be on that flight.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
You know,
yes,
you
yes.
weren't supposed to be on that flight. So, sometimes, we miss our blessings because we're just so, determined on what our will is versus God's will. And so that's what I mean when I say that.
I love this. Marguerite put a great comment up here. She says, "So I'm not the only one that's considering joining a convent."
No,
Oh,
honey.
girl,
Maybe we
I
should
hope it.
join together.
You're right, but oh my God! But here's the deal. I guess I'll be going with y'all too. I mean, I don't know what happened to relationships. You know what I'm
I don't
saying?
know.
I
I don't
don't.
know.
We were at a point in life where people were all about love. If we look at the '70s, that was all about sex and drugs and music, and I just think love has disappeared. It's nowhere to be found.
And I agree. And I think that people give up too soon. I mean, and don't get me wrong, everyone has a right to change their mind if you're in a long-term relationship or even a short-term and you feel like it's not for you. But I think it's important to be honest with that person. Like, it's not in terms of communication, it's not what you say or what you do, it's how you do it. So
Mm.
I should be, if you're not happy, if you don't want this anymore, I should be the first person that should know that, and I just think that's hard for some people. But yeah, I don't know. I've always wanted to be, and I just turned 53, so there's still time. I'm still young. But I've always wanted to be like my grandparents and, be married to someone until one of us leaves this earth, and raise our grandchildren and spoil them and take them to different places like Paris and Miami and just, Dubai and just spoil them and then send them home. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. I look, me and you might have to hook up because I'm gonna say, and you know what's so funny? People don't think that those that live the LGBTQ plus lifestyle, we want the same exact things. I was
Yes, we
telling a
do.
friend recently. I said, listen. Even if I got with somebody now, 20 years from now would probably be the most I'd be able to get with that person. I'll be 55 this year. And
Mhm.
so, if you look at 20 years from now, I mean, so you're right. We don't have the opportunity to have the relationships that our grandparents had and our parents had because people are just not interested in relationships anymore. And I just think it's the saddest thing ever.
Yeah, or they want the next best thing, or maybe someone who makes more money or has a bigger lifestyle or whatever. But I just think people give up too soon, and I just never wanted to be a member of the divorce club. But so here I am. So it just depends. And I was talking to a matchmaker, and she was telling me stories of how she had some clients who they were like in their 50s and someone was still their parent, they were taking care of parents who were like in their 90s and they were still married. So I was like, wow, let me let me have a paradigm shift. Cause I was like, wow, I'm 53. And she was like, well, your life is really just starting. You could meet someone and spend the next 30 years. You could be 83 and spend the next 30 years with that person. And I was like, you know what? I need to have a paradigm shift because that's what I want. I don't want to settle, but I do want to have a companion in a life. I want a wife too.
Yeah,
But I'm
I'm
gonna
with you
settle.
100%. The one thing I tell people, Chat Daddy is one person. This is the
Right.
character. I live a whole different quiet, life, that type of thing, dedicated to friend. And I'm with you. I want somebody that would be able to understand that this is a character, this is a personality.
Right.
And when the camera's off, the microphone is off, I live a completely different, quiet, life. And that's what I guess a lot of people have a hard time in that. You know what? Me and you might have to go into the matchmaking business, and maybe that might
Woo-hoo.
lead us. That might lead us to
Child,
who we looking for. Look,
we
right?
have to do some, we have to do some art because this ain't it, honey.
Have you considered going outside your race?
You know, I have not up until this point. I'm open to that. But to be honest with you, I just think Black women are just so amazing and so beautiful. And it's interesting because I've always been attracted to really dark skinned women. But I've ended up with, marrying and dating fair skinned women. But again, I'm open to that. But if she was outside of our race, baby, she would have to be bad, bad, child.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. All right. Look, it's so many shows me and you can do as a result of this. It really
Yeah,
is. I have had nothing but a great time with you tonight. Do me a
thank
favor.
you.
Tell everybody how they can find you, follow you, how they can get your amazing book. And I'm not even going to ask you because I know automatically you're going to come back and hang out with me again because
Yes,
you did
I
a great
am. Whenever you
job.
call, I will come running.
It's
But
about 20 different conversations we need to have from
yes,
tonight's show. Go right ahead.
yes. So listeners can find me at www.monicamppickett.com or Monica Pickett on Facebook and Pretty Monica Pickett on Instagram. And again, Monica Pickett on Twitter. And the book can be purchased, my international bestseller, Pretty Boy Blue, can be purchased on Amazon. However, you can DM me or send me a Cash App or Venmo, the price of the book and shipping, and I will personally sign the book and wrap it and send it to you directly.
Because you've been doing virtual book signings since June now, haven't you?
Oh my gosh, Art, I have been blessed. This has been a virtual book tour for the past 2 months. So I've been blessed during this pandemic. And, this is my last media interview for the month, but I already have some things booked for August. So I am very blessed and I'm very grateful.
Very good. Thank you, Kay Renee Mason. She's been a co-host here on the show several times. She says such an impactful show. She thanks us both for a great show
Oh,
tonight.
thank you so much.
You know what? My entire goal, my entire life is to inform our people and let our people know that we come in all shapes, sizes, flavors, all of that. And so you've been just extraordinary tonight with helping to, get that word out about just, people in our lifestyles and what we're looking for and all of that great stuff. So I appreciate you, my darling. You've done an outstanding job tonight. What would you like to say to people in closing about this COVID situation?
First of all, Art, I really want to thank you and say I am so honored. You are like a legend. I am so honored to participate in anything that you do. And secondly, in terms of this COVID-19 experience, I would just implore people to live your life. Life is too short. You have to live your life and be kind to each other. That's what I would implore people to do, Art.
Amen. Great job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of yet another amazing show. Coming up on Monday, which will be August, we will officially be in August. I guarantee you guys, each and every night during the month of August, there will be something to help you, your family, your community, your city, and the world in which we live in. I have some great guests from attorneys. We're actually going to talk about sex trafficking on Monday night. Believe it or not, during this pandemic, sex trafficking is still going on. And a lot of young men and women are being sex trafficked at this particular time. And so we'll have someone on to talk to us about that. We have an attorney stopping by next week. We have a couple of doctors to help talk about some health issues. So do me a favor, go over to YouTube. Subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show. It's absolutely free. It does not cost you anything. I will not call and harass you. I do not need your credit card number. I do not. I will not appear at your door on a Saturday morning knocking, talking about, do you know about Chat Daddy? I will not do any of that, but I could use you guys' help and support over on YouTube. Just subscribe. It's free. Also, go to Facebook to The Real Chat Daddy Show page. Subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show on Facebook. And my website is on the bottom of this page, therealchatdaddy.com. I love you guys so very much. It's been a great week of just extraordinary shows. Monica Pickett. M. Pickett.
Thank you, Art. Thank you so much. I love you so much for this opportunity.
Honey, I love you so much. Are you kidding me? You're incredible. You did a great job tonight. You guys be safe. Let me remind you all what you need to do. Wear your mask.
Yes, please.
Wear your mask. You know I'm addicted to these masks now. Make sure you sanitize, stay clean, wash your hands, do everything that you need to do. Social distance, that's very important. I know you guys want to get together, hang out with your family and your friends. Social distance, try to have it outdoors. Try to have it in open air, and most importantly, eat healthy and do the right things. I'll be back on Monday night. I love you guys so very much. Have a safe, wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Art.
I love you, Monica. Have a great night. I love you guys. Bye. TheRealChatDaddy.com. See you guys on Monday night. All right, let me end this broadcast. Yay.